Hi, welcome everyone. This is fabulous. It's Friday, November 4th. Thank you for joining us for the Cliff Notes on sleep. Uh, Please, I have another screen up and so I can see your comments on LinkedIn. And there we are live on LinkedIn at the same time. So we're using double bandwidth. This is kind of cool. Just drop your comments into the comment box. Please tell us where you're coming in from or where you're joining us from. I'm here in coastal Virginia. It's a bright, sunny day, about 70, and lots of landscaping going on. So you may hear something because I think people are taking advantage of the beautiful day. And so I just want to say to you all that I am so excited to have you all be with us, and I am just thrilled. And I'm going to start by introducing our speaker today, and also making sure you know you're in the right place by telling you that this is the Cliff Notes on sleep. And so I am so excited to have Carissa Hankins with us. She's a sleep expert, and Carissa has a master's of science in nursing, and she's a advanced practice registered nurse. She's board certified family nurse practitioner, and she's been helping people with their sleep and sleep apnea since 2011. Now, Carissa, I have to tell you, has a knack for explaining things in simple ways that make sense to people, so we feel empowered and we have a better understanding of our own health. Carissa is the owner and founder of the Sleep NP LLC. And I say to you that her current focus is ending that diagnosis and dump cycle that many CPAP users feel when they've started their sleep apnea treatment journey. And she's doing that by automating education around sleep apnea. Her first project is currently under development. It's called the CPAP Success Accelerator course. And once that's up and running, she plans to expand to an online group coaching model to further help people with sleep and sleep apnea. Since starting her nurse practitioner career in 2009, I have to tell you that Carissa Hankins has cared for patients in a variety of settings, including outpatient pulmonology, sleep medicine, as well as in urgent care settings. So I want to welcome Carissa today. Once again, I am Kimberly Adams Tufts. Lots of folks like to call me Dr. Cat. I'm a certified health and life coach as well as a nurse practitioner. And I have to say that my aim is to help folks who are working in educational and healthcare settings to thrive, to achieve work life wellness, and to prioritize their own self care while realizing their individualized vision for success, whether it's for their life or career. So I say, everyone, welcome. Thank you. We're so happy that you're here. And please, we want this to be interactive. So drop your comments or questions into the comment box there. I'll be looking for those. And let's get this conversation started, Carissa. Thank you for being here with us today. I want to start by just kind of asking you about what normal sleep is like. You know, a lot of us have heard about the stages of sleep. A lot of us wear these fitness watches, and we see it shows us we have different stages of sleep. Can you describe what normal sleep is like for us? We'd love to hear about that.
Yes, absolutely. You want to bring my slides up?
I sure will.
Awesome. All right. So, in any conversation about sleep, it is hugely important to make sure that we're starting with what are the expectations? Because expectations, if they aren't close to being realistic, you're going to be disappointed every single day of the week. So before we dive into the sleep stages, which I'm super excited about, I just wanted to point out one thing, and that is that sleep is more like a computer than a light switch. There's a bunch of different processes that have to happen, and they have to happen in an organized fashion in order for sleep to happen. So it's not just like we're done, we're sleeping. No. you know, uh, in real life, when your computer is not functioning optimally, like that's really frustrating because we want everything to be
Mhm.
fast, 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 and that's not always realistic.
Yes.
So, just to kind of get everybody's juices flowing here, I have a question for you
Mm.
all, and it's this. This is actually group participation. So, if you're feeling brave, you can go ahead and put your answer or guess in the chat, in the comments. We're not judging. But here's the question. Hearing gets turned off in which stage or stages of sleep? Again, hearing gets turned off in which stage or stages of sleep? And I promise you will not have to wait very long to get the answer on this, but it's pertinent and relevant to what we're talking about today. So let's dive in to the sleep stages. There are 4 of them. If you Google it, you can still find 5 stages of sleep.
Oh.
However, the non-REM stage 3 and 4 got combined, so we're at 4 at this point. So, N1 or stage 1 is transition sleep. You can still see and hear and pop in and out of it and be like, "What? I wasn't asleep. I was watching that. Why did you change the channel? I was watching that." And everybody else is like, "No, no, no, you were totally asleep." "No, I wasn't." If that sounds familiar, it's
Yeah.
probably transition sleep. Because you may look asleep, but you definitely do not feel asleep. And
Oh.
so stage 2 sleep is a little bit deeper, but again, it's not super deep. Neither of these 2 stages of sleep are actually going to feel like sleep. Now, they count as sleep. Again, expectations, they
Mhm.
count as sleep. So I mention it because some people are like, "Oh man, I didn't sleep." Well, there's a difference between not sleeping and not sleeping well. And so you can not sleep well, but still be getting sleep that does count. All right, so next stage of sleep is stage 3 or N3. And I got to tell you, this is the stage of sleep where the magic of feeling asleep happens. So when you hit this stage of sleep, you are most likely to feel like you slept. And if you're wondering the answer to our little challenge
Yeah.
question, it's this stage of sleep. This is the only stage of sleep where your hearing is supposed to be turned off. In all the other stages of sleep, it's on. And that's relevant to trying to sleep better because when you understand that it's on all the time, except for this one time, then you can take some measures if noise happens to be a problem. So N3 is deep restorative sleep. That is where we feel like we're sleeping. And then we have our last stage of sleep, which is REM. REM is very interesting because it is so much different than the other 3 stages of sleep. The first 3 stages, the non-REM stages of sleep, these
Mhm.
are restful, these are relaxing.
Oh.
REM is active. So a lot of times people will get REM and N3 confused because they're like, "We all know we need it." Yes, we do. We kind of need both. But folks often will get them mixed up. So REM is where the brain creates the dream environment. That
Oh.
doesn't mean you have to dream to be in it. Just if
Okay.
you remember it, the brain creates the dream environment. So everything you see and feel and hear is real because that's what the brain is telling you. Now,
Hmm.
there's a lot of very interesting things about REM, and one of them is that our bodies and our brains try to protect us from acting out our dreams. Because if you dreamt you were Superman and you were going to fly out the window, you wouldn't actually want to fly out the window because that's going to be a hard landing.
Yeah.
So
Not so restful, huh?
no, that's a very rude awakening, if you wanna be honest.
Mm.
So that phenomenon of the voluntary muscles getting turned off, that would be except for the eyes and the diaphragm, that
Yeah.
phenomenon is called REM atonia, and it's one of those things in that computer programming of sleep that's not an instantaneous kind of thing. So we're gonna talk more about that, I think, as we keep going, but that's the 4 stages of sleep in a nutshell.
So it was during that deep sleep then that their hearing is turned off.
Mhm.
Oh,
Stage
okay, and that's
10-3.
really important to feeling rested.
Mhm. Indeed.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm looking over here to see if we have any questions or comments. Not yet. So, th- I just love the way you just conceptualized that, and you gave us me some new information that now there are 4 stages that they've combined, two of
Mhm.
the previous stages. So this is new information for me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So now that we know a little bit about normal sleep and the stages that we need to go through, and that we need stage 3 to feel really rested, like we've really slept, and stage 4 is active, as you said. And can you provide us, I'd ask you for some core tips for getting our best sleep, or the basics. And I see Kenya here. Kenya's signing in from Chamberlain University, and she says that this is great information. So that's really good, and thank you. Hi, Kenya. Thanks for coming in and being with us. And I really appreciate this too, learning about this in this nice, simplified, understandable way. So, Carissa, give us the scoop on how we get that best sleep.
All right, here's my take on it. And I actually have 3 of them. I could listen, if we didn't have a time limit, I could be here all day talking
Okay.
about this stuff. And I'm not like a real sleep coach. I'm focusing sleep apnea stuff, but I could talk about this stuff all day. So there's 3 of them that we're going to run through. We have identify and invite distractors to exit. Keep it consistent and working with the bank of sleep rather than against it. And I'm going to explain each of these 3 things as we go. But
Okay.
when I say distractors, when we're talking about sleep, what are some examples that come to mind? And you can pop them in the chat, or
Hmm.
Kimberly, if you wanna throw out some options there for distractors. What do
Phones?
you Yes, for sure.
Why did that come first to my mind? I don't know.
Yes. What's that saying? Whenever you point with this finger, you have 3 pointing back at you. I do that
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
All the
Yes.
time. So distractors are anything that can be exciting or higher priority than sleep.
Oh.
So, and there's tons of them. Any stimulating work, exercise,
Mm.
bright light, strong emotions, the phone thing. There's also alcohol, nicotine, certain medications, and beverages with alerting properties. They can all be distractors from sleep in different ways. So, one challenge is to identify the things that are incompatible with sleep and
Hmm.
hello, cup of coffee. You
Yeah.
need to go away earlier in the day so I can go to sleep when it's time. If you're
Ah.
somebody who's
Ah.
sensitive to that sort of thing. So because you can't be awake and asleep, at least doing either of them well at the same time.
I
That doesn't
see.
mix.
I see.
So that's distractors.
Okay.
Now, the brain loves routine. It loves knowing what's next.
Mm-hmm.
So, giving the brain consistency is huge. Now, the beauty
Oh.
of this particular strategy is that
Mm-hmm.
we actually have some degree of control over it. Going back to the computer analogy, you don't start turning off your computer by hitting the power button. You could, but that might not be a wise thing to do. You're going to save your work and close your programs. And you're going to make sure you've done all the things. And
True.
then you're going to tell the computer, okay, you can shut down now. And it's going to keep doing its thing until it actually powers down.
Hmm.
Um, so having that routine, and like our brains are the same way. Like if we have a routine set up, the brain goes, haha, we do this and this and this and this, and then it's time to go to bed. So it's looking forward to it. So, and it's, you wouldn't necessarily, it might not be a wise idea to just slam your laptop lid closed and go, it's asleep, it's off. No, not necessarily. It could still be going. So when we skip this step, like, oh, I'm just gonna, like, just this minute, I'm gonna put the phone away and lay down and expect to sleep. You might look asleep, but you probably will not feel asleep.
So let me see if I got this. So first you said identify and invite distractors to exit. You named quite a few for us.
Mm.
And now you're talking about it's just like our computers. We don't just shut them down without attending to a consistent routine. And so our brains are like that, and we want to have a consistent routine for inviting our brain to sleep. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Correct. Correct. And so this also leads us to the age-old question of why can't I seem to sleep as well in the second half of the night as I can in the first half? And that's where we need to talk about the bank of sleep.
Bank of sleep.
The bank of sleep.
Exciting.
The
All
bank
right.
of sleep has two departments. It has the credit issuing department, like here's some money, but it's only on.
Oh.
And then it has the pay me money. So it's got credit issuing and debt
Pay
collection.
me money.
We think of it that way.
Okay.
And the balance here is key because as soon as you wake up, the brain starts collecting credits from the bank of sleep. This is actually called sleep debt.
Oh.
You need these credits for N3 sleep. You need them for N3. So you get more of these credits when you do certain things and you temporarily give up credits or even spend some of them when you do other things. And, if you hold on to too many credits,
Okay.
the collections department will come after you and it will be like, I'm going to take some of your money. And that might be happening at times that you do not want it to happen, like when you are driving or in a boring meeting. There's nothing like looking over and being the one who was snoring in the meeting. Just saying.
Okay.
But it does happen. So ways you can get more of these credits to spend on N3, these are the things that most people are already doing. So exercise, physical activity, healthy excitement, you get more credits with doing those things than you do if you're just kind of sitting around. Stimulants, like our caffeine jolts, they temporarily reduce the credit load until they've worn off. And naps, especially long ones, they make you spend your credits. So like if, let's say you fell asleep in front of the TV, you're going to have to be awake for a little bit to get some more credits so you can actually go back to sleep or reinitiate sleep.
Okay, this is very interesting. So I love this analogy. You're saying that we have credits, so we put credits in the bank and then we withdraw. So we can withdraw our credits or our money.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice here, and this is a great question we have from Kenya Beard here, and she asked us, so you can actually store sleep like credits?
It's a balance. It's a balance. The bank of sleep doesn't take pennies and it doesn't take $100 bills. And that focuses more on the folks who aren't getting enough sleep. Like, I'm going to burn the candle at both ends all week and then I'll just catch up on weekends. That's the way the debt balance goes. But the folks who, like, we know that people who live in nursing facilities have a difficult time with insomnia. Why? Well, do they have very much excitement in their life? Probably not. What do they do with a lot of their time? Well, if they're not eating or going to the bathroom or getting changed, they're probably napping. So then they have no money to spend or very little of their money to spend at night.
Oh my gosh, they've used their credits during the day?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Seriously?
Yep. That's the way that works. And if you've ever kind of just, kind of laid around all day and then didn't sleep very well at night, it's because you did not collect enough credits. You did not collect enough credits. Now, on this subject of these credits, timing actually matters. So I'm going to go on to the next one, especially when
this is saying TV too, huh? Is that blue screen concept?
Well,
blue light concept?
So the TV has multiple issues with it. It has the light issue and it has you can't turn off your hearing except in that one stage of sleep issue. So
Oh,
people all the time will be like, "Oh yeah, I have that same movie playing over and over all night long because that's what I do." Okay,
yeah,
that speaks to the routine piece of things, but just the fact of that level of distraction or distractor
yeah,
can be enough to distract the brain from sleeping because, like I said, hearing is only off in one stage of sleep. And I don't think people realize that. People go, "Oh, well, my," and also, your vision doesn't really get turned off. You just close your eyes.
right. Right.
So yeah, it's always on.
And if people have their TV on all night, huh?
Yes, yes,
Oh my
that can be a
gosh.
problem. But the brain loves routine. So
Okay.
even a routine that's not a one that's conducive to sleeping well, a
Yeah.
lot of times people will prefer to stick with that just because it's more comforting than, oh my gosh, what am I going to do without XYZ thing that I always have used as my cue to go to sleep?
So they've always fallen asleep with the TV running in the bedroom. So
We
maybe it may be working.
We do have some folks. Now, the interesting thing is when I've sent people for sleep studies, we
Yes.
can't have in the place where I worked, we cannot have the TV on when people are trying to sleep because it messes up with the data collection and that sort of thing.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've asked folks, I've said, so, because they'll always be like, well, how am I going to sleep without the TV on?
Yeah.
And, just it's okay. We're not expecting the best night of sleep ever in this sort of a
Okay. In these
situation.
artificial
It's not
circumstances.
mandatory that you have a good
Okay.
night of sleep, just any night of sleep.
Okay.
So but I'll ask them, "How did you sleep?" And 9 times out of 10, unless they had pain or were cold or something like that, they
Yeah.
actually sleep better without it on. That doesn't mean that they want to have it off at home, but
Yeah.
it is
But they
possible.
actually will. So
So
you've shared with us inviting those distractors to exit, being consistent because it's a computer and we want to train it. And then the concept of this bank of sleep. We have credits and we withdraw. And we
mm,
can't just like n- uh, not put anything in the credits all week and then on the weekend just try to take out a bunch of money.
mm, right,
Okay.
pay it
So,
back.
oh wow, wow. This
So
is
there
very interesting.
there was just one other point I wanted to make, and it's that
Yes.
timing when you go to bed
Uh-huh.
matters because
Really?
N3 likes to show itself more frequently and more easily when the clock says PM than it
Mhm.
does when the clock says AM. So that
Okay.
long afternoon nap that felt so great, and maybe you had fuzzy dreams, and maybe you felt like you slept, and maybe you even woke up feeling confused and sick and just wanting to go back to sleep and leave me alone.
Yeah.
You probably hit N3. This phenomenon of feeling ill and leave me alone is called sleep inertia. And that's why they will recommend if somebody is going to take a nap that they make it short, just so they don't hit that stage of sleep. So
How
um,
long? 30 minutes or less, I've been
I
told?
think that's the going theory at this point. But remember, if you're going to take a snooze for even 15 or 20 minutes, it is perfectly fine to not feel like you slept because stage N1 and N2 still count. Still
Oh,
count.
wow. Okay.
So, and you can still get them.
Great tip.
So, but N3 likes PM. So if you're going to bed too late, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, whatever, you're
Yeah.
more likely to miss it. And then you won't be able to spend as much of those credits as you would like.
Okay.
REM likes AM. So
Oh,
these can come at any time, but this is
yeah.
when it seems to prefer. So if you're getting to bed too late and you're like, oh man, um, REM likes AM. So
Okay.
yeah, so timing can
Timing counts. So we
influence.
want, so that's why I've heard that the closer with circadian rhythms, if we move the day before and out, get sunlight as early as possible in the day, that will help us with our clock for the next day, or maybe even the next day after that. And at the same time, if we want to go to bed, I remember Dr. Oz. I used to be a Dr. Oz devotee,
Mm,
saying that the closer to 10 p.m. you can sleep possible, and try to avoid after 12 midnight. You will
yep.
get the better sleep. So now you're explaining this. Now I know that it's that deep restorative sleep likes PM.
It does.
And that
And
active sleep likes AM. Wow,
well,
this is great information.
and those N3 credits, they are literally burning a hole in your pocket. Like, they
Oh,
want to get spent. And once you
okay.
spend them, you know, you don't have any or as much later on in the night, but your brain's like, yes, spend it, spend it. Here you go. So
Thank you. I love the way you've conceptualized this for us. I can remember these things, Carissa, so this is great. Now, let me just ask you this. What should we think about or do next when we've implemented some of these practices? Using the bank properly, being consistent, getting rid of the distractors, and it still doesn't seem as if we're getting our best sleep or it's not really working for us. What should we think about or do next?
well, there might be distractors that we haven't been able to identify.
Okay.
There are, so if we're in a high anxiety state or hyper arousal, you're not going to sleep because that's incompatible with sleep. So fight or flight is
Okay.
always going to win out over rest and digest up to a
Oh,
point.
wow.
So if there is some sort of a condition, you can pick any number of conditions which might fall into that category. That's a good reason to check with the healthcare team to, you know, look at all of you
Yeah.
and, you know, here's what's going on. The other thing that I see quite commonly is sleep apnea. And a lot
Oh,
of folks will have been told that, hey, you snore, and they'll go, whatever, like everybody snores a little bit. It's no big deal.
mhm.
However, putting that whole picture together, not breathing when you're sleeping can be enough of a distractor to sleep to mess things up. And of course, some people feel that sleep apnea is not even a sleep problem, and for them it could be simply a health problem. So when you're doing all the things and it's just not going, that's an excellent time to check with the healthcare team and say, you know, here's what's going on, here's what I did, here is what I'm concerned about. What do you think?
Wow.
So, and of course, there's more, but those are the big two that came to
That we
mind.
ought to think about, that we ought
Yeah,
to think about.
yeah,
That's great information. And, just at least some place to start when we're, doing these things and implementing these best practices, and it still doesn't seem as if we're well rested. We ought to look a little further.
yeah.
I really, and we're about at our time, and so I want to honor our time. We're at 27 minutes. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions or comments, and I don't see any right now. But I want to really, really thank you for being with us today, telling us, I love when I introduced you, talked about how you communicate things so that people can understand them, so they're clear and simple. And you've definitely done that today. And so I'd say folks need to tap into your services if they need more information or would like to just interact with you. And so I've put up your website here, the Sleep NP. I want to appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us. Sleep is so important. And so you all know that on Cat Wellness for the month of October, we focused on sleep, and that was intentional. And I'm trying to establish a tradition of us bringing the topic to an end in the early part of the next month and bringing in an expert such as yourself. So you did that for us. And so I appreciate you tremendously. Folks, if you want any more information about how to get your best sleep or to implement some potential self-care practices that can help you to thrive, create work life wellness, and create success for yourself, please contact me at Cat Wellness and I will be glad to help you. I look forward to supporting you. And thank you so much, Carissa. And I look forward to learning more about you and looking for your CPAP Success Accelerator course. And
Thank,
so folks can find you on LinkedIn, I'm sure, and
thank
there's your
you.
website. So I appreciate that. And thank you for joining us today. And everyone out there, we're going to have a replay. And so if you weren't able to join us live, I'll post it for us on LinkedIn and we look forward to it. And so Melissa is still with us. And I want to say, she says, that was great. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for joining us. And thanks to everyone else. I see we have a lot of attendees, and I'm sure people will access the replay. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
One
Thanks.
day at a time. And lots of sleep. I'm going to be thinking about my credits. I don't want to spend them all in the afternoon with that PM nap that gets me into REM, right? So
Yep.
that's what my take
To
home
get
is.
you into N3.
Okay,
Yep.
less than 30 minutes. Thank you, Carissa. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye.